This is Truth Frequency Radio.
The wicked ones obviously under heavy Masonic influence.
When you finally boil it all down, magic is imagination. We are moving into an age of manifestation. Things become actually less material, more ethereal. The golden dawn is when we awaken to this new station of life. What you think becomes real quicker. Regain our imagination, regain our inner child, and let that inner child out.
My name is Frank Castle, founding member of the music group Heist and New York City Neo Shaman. After a serious injury sidelined my career in 2013, I decided to set out on an adventure to search for myself with the help of the plant medicine ayahuasca. What I discovered waiting for me was something I could have never prepared for. It was time for me to become something more, someone more. It was time I became fearless. Shine as my heart beats a rhythm with space and time. When the light starts to shine inside your third eye, you awake to the knowledge that you never die. What is up, everyone? Jermaine Man, Frank Castle, your sorcerer supreme right here each and every Saturday night on Truth Frequency Radio. And I'm joined by my etherical translator, Paula Milo.
Hey, everyone.
And you are correct if you thought this was fearless. Thank you for tuning in. Before we start the show, just like every show, shout outs to Chris and Cherie Gio. Thank you so much for bringing us on board to the family many years ago now. And it was an honor. And we're still bringing everyone through that giant portal, one conscious person at a time.
One story at a time.
One story at a time. So thank you so much. We love you guys so much.
Oh, all the chat room folks.
Shout outs to everybody in the chat room. All right, happy 420. Happy anniversary, Paula.
Happy anniversary, Frank.
Shout outs to Woodland Wand Creation. Rihanna makes the best wands. Shout outs to Rihanna and Bert. Shout outs to Paranormal Podcast and to Ra. Eye of Ra show before us. We've got
absolutely.
So much
and thank you all, chat room folks. You're all saying happy anniversary. Frank and I met 4 years ago, the night before Easter, and we don't know what the date is. So as a running joke now, our anniversary is the night before Easter whenever Easter falls. So it's, we could look up the date, but it doesn't matter.
No,
that's what we're doing. It's always going to be the night before Easter.
And what a lovely experience it was meeting you. And I shall quickly, for any new listeners, welcome to the Fearless Journey. This is my story. This is our story now. Mm-hmm. But it started as a self-journey as a beginning shaman and just not understanding what was happening at all and having the strength to just come on air and speak. And you started to join me. We developed it together, but we met under the craziest of circumstances. We take it for granted because of who we are and the weirdness that envelops us daily. Mm-hmm. But we forget sometimes how crazy the story is.
Frank tells the story, and he says that I came to visit him in an Aya session about 5 or 6 months before we met. And that's the story. And then the night that we actually met, there was a clue left for him so he would be able to recognize me. And the night we met, the clue was revealed. And then he told me the story, and I wasn't scared away.
Well, there's two versions of that. See, there's Paula's version, which is lovely.
Yeah.
And then there's the real version that's knock your socks off. So check it out. I get home from tour, and I'm trying out being a shaman, becoming my own shaman, right?
Before we even met.
I was still living with my ex-girlfriend. Mm-hmm. I was down on the floor flopping like a fish because everything worked. The whole shaman thing was going fantastic after a bunch of failing moments. Final succeed, and there's this moment of me just laying there, and two beings, one on either side. They were wearing red jumpsuits, and they had blue hair, which was interesting. And they were telling me everything will be all right. And I was like, I didn't care what they looked like. It didn't even affect me, but this is the first time I'm seeing something like this.
Right.
So I'm like flopping, like, hey, what's happening to me? And I can't. And then right through the living room, now I'm up on the second floor overlooking the water. This cat being, who turns out to be Sekhmet, turns out to be Paula, it just comes in the window, but as if she's looking through a window, and says, and I'm like, wow, I stop flopping. I'm just like laying there, but my legs are all contorted, my hands. People that go under know what I'm talking about. Your wrists do weird things, and your fingers start fidgeting, and you're bending your shoulders real weird. It's almost like your body is releasing all this pent-up stored stuff.
Toxins and things like that.
Right? So I look up and I'm like, wow. And she just looks down and says to the two beings next to me, all you had to do was keep your eyes on him and watch him. Make sure he stayed out of trouble. What is going on? And they try to explain. And I said, does anyone see the giant Thundercat with the beautiful chest standing right there? Because she had really...
You could say it.
She had really big boobs. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow. And I said, you're just amazing looking, but nobody's recognizing. And they were like, dude, shut up. Don't say that. And I'm like, but you're not going to acknowledge it. Like, the weird thing is I'm in a weird position of losing my everything to get myself back. And I look up to see this, and I'm focused on certain things. And I think it's almost like everyone knew, almost like that's my personality type, that that's what it might make the connection to you. I don't know. But then she says, I'm coming for you. Hang in there. And she looks me right in the eyes, and I'm like, I'm in love. I'm like, whoa, this is the most beautiful being I've ever seen. But she's a cat. I can't explain it. She was a Thundercat. So 5 months later.
Yep, about right? that. 6 months maybe.
6 months maybe. I'm with you. You get in the car. I say Happy Easter.
Oh yeah, we went out to see a friend's band play. And two friends. Oh yeah.
So she says to me before I leave, you'll know me when I come into your life.
In your experience.
In my experience, she says, you'll know me by the Catwoman. And I said, oh, that's obvious. Like, come on, that's obvious. Like that. Okay, so now here we are. And Paula touches my beard. We're talking yappity yap, yap, yap. And she gets out of the car at the club. We weren't at a club. We were at a bar. And she does this impersonation of my brother. She had met my brother, and he was a sanitation worker picking up stuff on her block. And she does a perfect impersonation of him. And I'm like, wow. And then she goes, do I look like the crazy Catwoman? And she's jumping up and down. And I'm staring at her. And I'm like, what? I'm thinking like, oh, this is a great story. And then the second time I heard it, it clicked. Third time I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I got like that look. Yeah,
what did you say? Yeah.
Oh, I got that look on my face like, we're going to have to talk right in a few minutes.
You did. You said that. We're going to have to talk. And I went, oh, my God, what do we have to talk about? I just met you.
Now, I said to you, and I'll let you tell this side of this story, part of the story. So I said to you, it's weird. I could talk to you about this stuff. I have no one to talk to except for Chris Gio. So I said, they keep making fun of me because of the Frank Castle thing. They're like, they were showing me Frank Castle, right? They're like, this is your exterior. And I'm like, yeah, Frank Castle, right? Yeah, it's awesome. And they're like, and your interior. And then it moved out of the way, and it was a Care Bear.
So when Frank said Care Bear, I was like, oh, I just went to a psychic a few months before, and she said, you're going to meet someone, and you're going to know he's the right one because he's going to be a big Care Bear. And I said, who wants to date a Care Bear? Like that sounded silly to me at the time. And I was like, all right, okay, I'm just waiting to hear that come out, because no one says the word Care Bear anymore, ever.
I thought that was the oddest thing that ayahuasca would say that to me.
Yeah.
She would say, oh, look, you're a giant Care Bear.
But I thought it was odd that a psychic would say that to me, especially since at that point I wasn't even looking for a relationship.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So under the weirdest circumstances, then we get real intense with each other.
Then we start talking.
We start
now
like,
the conversation starts for real.
Beep, 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 beep,
Yep,
beep, beep,
yep.
beep, beep, right? Like two antennas just touching.
Yep.
And it still hasn't really stopped. Now we're 4 years later. Now this is the reason why we're talking about this. I'm going to bring it around and make it relevant to the whole thing, which it's always going to be relevant.
Yeah, because it's not like, oh, it's our anniversary. We can't even celebrate
In
it.
4 years.
Yeah.
We built a relationship, a home. We have a family. We have bettered ourselves in every area of our lives.
Yeah.
We've created FearLess. We came forward with this. It took us a year to come. Chris asked me immediately to dude, you got to do the show. And I was like, nah. And then the next year came around. He's like, dude, you got to do the show. And I'm like, well, and I asked you, we already talked about what would be the name. And we had all different names and weird stuff. Then we met Sergio along the way. And Sergio was like, oh, we should do this. And it's the FearLess, I am, we are. And then all this came out.
Yeah. Everything happened. It just one thing after another.
And boom, FearLess hit the table. It shot off running, and I'm like, well, FearLess is a state of mind. It's my journey. I'm afraid of everything.
It is a state of mind.
I was scared of everything.
It is a state of mind, though. You're right.
Talk into that beautiful
I
thing.
am talking into it.
No, I got you.
but it is a state of mind, right? Because it's become a way of life.
Yes.
And I think for our FearLess family, the group, the Facebook group, all of the listeners, the chat room folks, it's a way of life. And I think you all understand when I say that. We choose how we're going to handle the day every time we wake up.
Okay, and how is that? Through
hope or through fear.
Right.
So, and there are a lot of emotions in between, so if you can just pick a side and stick to it, and you want to stay as close to hope as you can, everyone gets stuck in traffic. Everyone stubs their toe. Everyone runs late. Everyone has a problem with their job or their boss or someone they work with. And these are things that happen in everyday life. Everyone's got most people have a kid that you want them to grow up because they just drive you crazy. And this is life. So we can deal with it the best we can. And that comes from love and that comes from hope. And that's where we can start. And if we mess up and we fall down and we have a bad day or a week or a month, we can start over at any time. Wherever you are, that's where you start over. I
noticed that was amazing, by the way.
Thank you.
That was amazing. I was just going to say, put 10% more effort forward towards your positive things and take away 10% or more from your negative. You'll catch yourself doing it, learning how to say no, stepping back from the illusion and the distractions that if you didn't show up in 5 minutes that the whole world's going to collapse around you.
Or saying nothing at all.
Silence
We've learned that too. Or saying nothing at all. So a lot of us, and I'm included in this, we want to fill the silence with chatter or fodder or, because we're nervous because now it's silent, and it's okay. And not reacting, it takes a lot. It takes a lot to keep your mouth shut.
We have someone that
and think before you speak.
Exactly. We have someone around us that everything just didn't work right for how many years? Not just with us, with everyone. And now they're back because my grandmother, right? Mm-hmm. And it's like everyone's putting forth an effort, so it's a positive thing. But in that quiet silence of smiling at each other and everything, this one person cannot shut their trap. And it's disgusting because some people talk sometimes, and it's like it's not even a nervous habit. It becomes something more. Like you've created something more with it. It's like you literally can't shut up.
Because people spellcast
you make up stories, and it's just words coming out of your mouth. Anything anyone says, but you don't. Oh, I got a new car. Oh, well, you don't know where. Did you buy it here? Because if you went through where, I know everyone there, and it's political, and nothing that actually has substance to anything or a reality based is just being thrown on the table because your word limit is overused by 200,000 words. You got to learn to just, like as Paula would say, just, dude, shut up. Quiet. Did you use up your words today? Like, think about what you're saying. And we're having fun with it. But honestly, do you know someone like that?
You know, it's funny because I was that person for many, many years. I had to fill the silence. I had to fill the quiet. Yeah, you didn't know that. No, because I'm a talker. But we, since Frank and I have been on this journey, and we've seen a lot of crazy stuff. And you can believe it or don't believe it. It doesn't matter. But, you know, the funny thing is the crazier it gets, the quieter we get. Because we have to be very careful about how we
present everything,
present the information.
Because everyone wants, people wait on word from us sometimes.
Yeah,
that's cool.
They want to hear about the beings.
But it's just my version of the story, right? So we could all see the same thing in the same room, and we're all standing next to each other, and each one of us sees something completely different. Right?
Yeah,
so
I mean, even Frank and I disagree. Yeah.
It's never what I say is rule and I know because I know. No, I know what piece I have. And this is the piece I have.
Yeah, this is the piece that you're given. Yeah.
And when I slap it down on the table, we can take it, mold it around your story, and connect the stories. Oh, look, we're building a giant map, something wonderful, beautiful that connects all of us together.
But that's what it is, because everybody gets a little piece of the puzzle. Some people don't even realize they have a piece because they're not there yet. They know that they feel something and they feel a calling towards something, and they know they're different than most people in very, very unique ways, and they don't even realize they have a piece until they talk to someone. They let their guard down long enough to talk to someone, and that's what you did. You took a chance. The night we met, you said, "Oh, I can talk to you about this stuff," because I could have said, "No, weirdo, we're not talking at all."
And I told you everything that happened. And
you
were
did.
Like, wow. But what happened next after that? You joined me
in the conversation.
Not only in the conversation later down the line.
But what did I say to you? It's all true. You have to believe it's all true. And I said that then, and I stand by it now.
I was worried because some of the stuff that I see, no one else sees, right? But then randomly, I'll read it somewhere, or, you know, you break open the Emerald Tablets, and you're like, okay, so that's there. I was telling you the giant Aztec head we're going to talk about in a little while, right? As I talk about that, I realize all the giant-headed things that are in our society.
Yeah, like those Easter Island heads.
Right. Yeah. So those things are a representation of these things that they were accessing in the DMT realm. Not necessarily a giant man standing there, but they could be accessing it through DMT, and then it's a giant man standing there. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, I do.
Physically, I'm just standing on the side of the cliff. I hit the DMT pipe. I'm still just standing on the side of the cliff. You're not going to see nothing, but to me, that side of the cliff becomes alive.
Because
right?
the
guy comes
the veil
up over the
gets
cliff
dropped,
and goes,
and you
can see me now, right?
Yes.
And then I go, it's funny, I can touch you too. He's like, well, you're in frequency with me now.
Yes.
So I'm like, so you could literally trip me with your giant finger.
Yes.
And he's like, yes, but if you stop looking at me and don't pay attention and disappear,
I'm not here.
Go back.
Yes.
I could still swing at you, but I'll never hit you because you're not
on my frequency.
You're not on my frequency, but we're both standing in the same place. And I go, wow, that's amazing. So I come out and I tell that kind of stuff. But I literally had no one to talk to but Chris. And then Chris saw a lot. Chris sees quite a bit. I see quite a bit differently. My gift, it's just what it is. I could see up and down. That's all. That's what it means. I can see up frequency, side to side, north, south, east, and west, all around me. I could look down. I could see who's looking at me from down there. I could look all the way up to the top, see who's looking at me, and I can access it all. I learned how to access it and see that stuff through being with Chris and then Paula. It was like Chris, Cherie, me by myself, Paula. Right?
That's
Sprinkled
awesome.
in there, my buddy Eric, shout outs, who's, I don't even know where he is anymore or whatnot. He said to me one time, he did it, didn't really work, but it kind of worked for me.
Right.
And I didn't understand that. It was new. I was like, why is it working for me and not for him? And he just sat there, was like, whatever, you bullshit. And I'm like, no, not bullshit, dude. Come again. So he had to leave. He was on a trip, and I felt terrible for months until I saw him again, and he was all...
What was a year, I think.
Yeah, he was looking at me like, bro, I don't know, man, but we're going to do this again. And we were sitting in my grandmother's basement where I go all the time, where it's just, dude, this is like the scariest place to drink, but it's the best. And symbols started coming off the wall and telling this story, and then this guy singing the music it was like legit shaman music, but he was like, yo, shut that off. That shaman does dark magic and rapes children. I was like, what? And he goes, dude, there's symbols flying out of the wall. And then he just looks at me.
So you had a
goes,
shared experience.
I think it's working. And I go, could you see that?
Yeah.
So we sat there, and I told you, the giant men came in the room. They were Anunnaki by our definition of those giant beings that look like humans that come from out there that have come down and shared genetics with us. Grabbed me, held me, pushed me forward. There were two of them, and looked into my back. And one had a giant, like the monocle, but it wasn't a monocle. It was like so you could look down into my spine. He had one eye. It looked like a monocular or something, right? And I was like, oh my God, he's like a scientist guy. He had the coat on and everything. And he goes, oh man, what did you do to your neck and back? And he was trying to fix it. And Eric's looking at me like his mouth is open. And I go, where's Eric? I can't see him. And he comes back into focus. I go, did you take my friend? What are you doing? And then he was on a table, strapped to a table, and he had one arm up, and he was waving to me. And they let me go, and I wasn't in the – I said, this is a hologram. I know I'm sitting downstairs, but it doesn't feel like it looks downstairs anymore. And we were in a science lab, and he was across from me, and it was really high up. And I said, Eric, watch what I can do. They let me go off the table. They said, okay, you're good for now. And I said, I can fly. And I jumped up, and Eric started clapping, but he had straps across his chest, but one arm was out. So he was able to, but he was happy because he was getting something worked on for him, like I got worked on for me. Yeah. Then he was released, and he flew. He flew right up to me. And I said, oh, we're flying. And then we were sitting in the basement. We were just sitting next to each other. And he looked over at me, and he's like, I don't know what's going on. Right? And Nick Zervo, shout outs to Nick. My favorite, I don't even know who I am anymore. Could you come here and help me? Right? Like, we've all gone through that. All of us have gone through that, but I went through that with you.
Which time, Frank?
No, the first time. Remember, after we met, we talked, and you were like, whoa, this is some heavy-duty stuff.
Oh, that's right.
And we were going through some stuff, and you didn't want to talk about it because you had a job at the time. You didn't want them to hear you or get wind of it because it was getting pretty potent. Everyone knows that Frank's going to say something at the party anyway. It's at that point. And you went in with me, and all I was caring about was, what are you going to see? As a shaman that's new, you want to share that. You want everyone to see, but they can't all see. You can't see unless you're ready to, and I'm not the one to tell you that you're ready, right? Like, you have to be, like, Aya works with you with that.
Oh, I saw a few things. I don't see like you. I never did, but I felt. I mean there was a giant cat. There was a tiger in the bed in my bedroom.
When we were here. That was when we were. That was already here. But
yeah,
there was Aya was in. She was a tree.
Oh yeah, she was
in
a
your
tree.
Bedroom,
yes.
looking at me, and half in the bathroom, and you were on the floor.
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
I was wondering if it was going to hit you, and I'm looking in the mirror, and I said, if I start going. Bloody Mary 3 times backwards, would that make my skin fall off or whatever? Because everybody looks in the mirror and says, oh, my whatever falls off. And then I hear, oh, are you ready? And then I went, what was that? And I saw a tree behind me, but it was a woman, and my face melts off in the mirror, except I was the light being. And I never saw that before, and I jumped up. Well, I never saw that in live time, like I'm in the room and I'm the light being. And I'm awake in the ayahuasca. I was standing up waiting for you to come in the room. And I'm like, oh, and I go, I got to show Paula. And I go to open the door, and then you were on the floor, and you're like looking up, scrubbing the floor, but you're talking. And I go, can you see Aya coming out of the corner of the room right there? You were like, yes.
She told me I could get up now.
Yeah, I go, you finish up, and then I'll be in the other room waiting. That was one of the most craziest experiences.
Oh, there were a couple.
No, well, that was our first.
Yeah, together.
Yeah, together. Okay, so here's another one. So Paul and I, we tried DMT. So I start to see fractals, like broken fractals, spinning. Like in Superman 2, when they trapped the villains, they were like spinning in that thing, and they were stuck in the negative zone. Those things were spinning, and I kept seeing my reflection as it spun by me.
Did you see Gene Hackman?
No, on the other side was the Panther.
No, I know, I'm kidding.
And I said, oh, there's something on the other side of those spinning fractals. They're looking back at me. So I jump up on the bed, and you're like, just like, ooh, ooh. So I'm like, I don't know what she's going through, but. And then the fractal stopped right at my eye level as I leaned over the bed, And I said, there's a panther here with me. And it growled, and you went, I thought this thing was going to jump me and bite my face off. It was huge. You went, oh, he's with me, and went, come here. And he came to you. And then I went, what? And when I turned back around, you were like, yo, there's a tiger. And I'm like, there's a giant tiger on the bed. It imprints itself right into the bed with us. And it's laying on her. And she's like, you're too heavy. Get off. And I'm going, it's looking at me, and it's licking your face. It's looking at me, and I'm going, dude, I know there's not a tiger there, and I'm going, no, I'm with my hands right now, and I'm touching it, going, nope, that's a tiger. That I got nothing, and I was up on my knees on the bed, going, and you were going, look how big and beautiful
he is, yeah. But you know what I think prepared me for that?
I'm like, how do you do that?
And I think had I not gone through that, I wouldn't have been ready for that experience. Because I get the experiences mixed up, especially now because it's 4 years now. So I get which experience happened when. And I had gone for a past life regression therapy. There's a woman in Katona, New York. She's amazing. I can't remember her name right now. Sasha. No, I can't remember her name now. I'll get her name. And she's a regression therapist. And she worked on me a few times. And in every past life, I was a medicine woman or did some form of work with animals. And she said there are thousands of animals waiting for you on the other side. There's
what did
horses,
I always see with you?
Animals.
Specifically.
Cats all over.
I was like, yo, there's cats everywhere around you.
I saw a cat in my regression therapy.
This is without psychedelics. You're just around it long enough to feel the energy and close your eyes.
Yeah, I saw a cat in my regression therapy that I rescued. He ended up passing away, but we're running out of time. But I mean, I think the regression therapy is what got me ready for basically meeting you.
The giant block.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
we're gonna
absolutely.
talk a little bit more about it when we get back because the story is just amazing, and that's what the show's about. Our story. We'll come back. We get crazy fearless with you.
More stories.
More story.
We are TFR.
My faith in destiny is all I need to prevail.
Truth Frequency Radio.
Am I awake or is this a dream? It's a dream. It's a dream. A fantasy of where I'd rather be. So come and talk with me. Come and walk with me. Is this a wake-up call from my reality? Have you seen my friends? Have you seen my girl? Wake me up from this. I'm trapped in this world.
What is up, everyone? Main man Frank Castle, your sorcerer supreme, right here each and every Saturday night on Fearless. I'm here with my theoretical translator, Paula Milo, and go to IamWeAreFearless.com and check out some of the merchandise we get there. It supports the artist. They get up to 50% of everything that they create. And
get a subscription.
Or get a
the
subscription
show.
to TFR.
Yeah, you can listen to all the art. You can listen to all the shows anytime.
Yeah, because I only really put my stuff up on YouTube like 3 times a year at this point. So waiting's a waste. You know, you'll get all the great data up front. And there's so many amazing shows on. My mind is just blown away to be part of this. So I just want everybody to share the love, kind of. And you know what? If you don't get a subscription and you don't at least listen in, share it. I want to thank everybody for sharing our stuff. Anyone that's, we create as artists together, and we if we like it, we can help support those people.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Sometimes even a like or a share is fine.
Yes.
You got to buy nothing. It's
yes,
free,
it's
free for a
what
week.
about Laureen Jennings and Holly Linden? good for them. Congratulations to you. You
Oh, yeah,
started
they
your
did
own
the YouTube show.
Yeah, you're doing your own
I
YouTube
don't
show.
have
That's
anyone's
great.
names written down.
Yeah,
I
it's
gotta,
Holly Linden and Lorene Jennings. And
No, I know,
and
but they have a
but there's
name
a
of the
lot.
show.
And then Rock Triplets always on going live. And I mean, I'm not going to name everyone because we don't have
In
enough
our
time.
FearLess
But
group.
it's amazing that you guys are doing your own thing, because that's what it's about. Just having someone to talk to about this stuff that sounds weird to other people. And I just want to finish up before we go forward, because I know you want to tell your story. But the woman's name is Shira Plotzner. She was a good regression therapist, but I did go to a student of Dolores Cannon. So Annie in the chat room, I am a true fan of Dolores Cannon. I went to one of her students and I got a QHHT healing. I did it in Rhinebeck, New York. She was a certified Dolores Cannon QHHT therapist, and that experience, and you almost feel like you're in a light hypnotic state. You almost feel like you're making it up. Like what's happening to you is
right?
it's like you're making it up in your head. But it really did help me break down some stuff. But I think all of that is what prepared me for meeting you, because I don't believe in doing DMT or drinking iron normally, regularly. I don't believe in it, because I don't think I think depending on what you're trying to do determines how often you have to drink. I mean, even your mom did it. Your mom waited till she retired, and then she said, "Frank, I'm coming, and you're going to be my shaman, and I want the treatment. I want to have the experience." And your mom got through it. I mean, she died a couple of times, literally, died a couple of times, and she thought it was the most amazing thing that ever happened to her in her life.
She said it was the greatest feeling ever.
She tells me all the time, I was walking to Food Town, to Big Deal, to the supermarket, and Aya was right there with me. Or she smells her sometimes when she's walking by, and it happens in the house all the time. I smell her all the time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So my mother, you know how it skips people? You're like, I wonder who has what. Well, my great-grandmother had it. My grandmother has it. Never did nothing with it. Some people claim they have it, and then it landed in my lap like it slapped me. And my mother has it, and she knew, but because of life, we get caught up.
Yes.
So you can't use your abilities the way you wish you could.
But my grandma
had a great mother.
Yes, but my grandma had it also. But my grandmother, I didn't realize it because I was too young to realize. But as I got older, I realized it. She does what I do. She just speaks truth. Like my grandmother would say something and it would be so true that it would actually dictate what was going to happen next.
Well, that's the truth frequency.
Or if she did have something to tell you that might be life-changing, whether you wanted to hear it or not, that message got through. And I think that's what I try to do. Look, I'm not telling you to believe me, I don't care, because you know how I feel. You love me, that's wonderful. You don't like me, that's okay too. I mean, I can't, I don't get a say in how you feel. I just hope that I'm helping someone, but this is my story too. Like it or don't like it, but this is my story. And
that's
I
all
think
we could present is our version of.
But that's what I think it is.
It.
Just by telling your story, someone else can resonate with that.
It loosens the cement around me, right? And then if you're listening and you resonate to you, and it loosens the concrete, and we start to shake free of these binds we didn't know we
of the
had,
programming,
of the programming
and the wheel, that hamster wheel, and the black goo,
and we start pressing forward. And I'm like, hey, I'm out here. This is what's happening.
Yes,
I'm doing the show this way. So because I'm also a hip hop artist, I was a federal inspector for the USDA for blueberries. I always add that because I think it's the cutest thing, but it's the truth. So I had like a reputation.
Well, you were the number one.
I was losing.
You were the top inspector.
I was the top inspector, actually, for the USDA, period.
For
like
how many years?
6 years.
6 years in a row.
Yeah, right. So, but based out of New York City. But now I'm just looking at food coming off trucks. I'm making sure that it's healthy. And there's a lot of nonsense in that. And all your political conspiracies about what you think is happening to the food, it's pretty much happening to the food, period. Hands down. Now, but I couldn't say nothing. But now I'm so far removed from it.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I'm allowed to speak about everything because by now times have changed and things don't know. And now It's still there, and it's still cycling in the process. So being able to discuss this openly, and then being a hip hop artist, I'm like, oh, here we go. I'm going to turn into that guy. And then I didn't care. Chris said to me once, Chris Gio, he says, are you Supernova or are you Dirty Money? Now, both are really good. Which one are you? And I said, I'm Supernova, bro. I didn't even have to think about it. And that's our song together, Chris and I. And we have many more, by the way, and a whole bunch coming out. And from that moment on, it was a push forward. But we as a couple, right? Shaman couple, because you definitely still are a medicine woman for sure. I would go as just because you don't like make brew or nothing like that, it doesn't mean you can't, first of all, because you've been around it for so long, but you know how to do everything else involved with everything.
Oh, I do. I made the oil before and stuff like that by myself. Like I'm
that
okay
within
with
it
that.
is shamanic. Well, I was going to say you're a plant expert.
No,
animals run in your direction. I don't understand it. They hear your voice and they come out of every direction. I'm like, I'm standing outside. It's nothing. And then you walk, your head pops out. You're like, morning. And it's cue the animals. They all start running out in different directions, all different kinds. And I'm like, wow, this is pretty interesting to now the point where I do it.
I know you do it. You do. Your squirrel comes every morning for you now.
To meet me. I had cats around me, and then he was making fun of me. And I go, you want to see something crazy? It was right in the middle of the day. Squirrel was on the porch piece, and I pulled the peanut out of my pocket. And I'm like, come over here, squirrel. And the squirrel just came over, took the peanut. And he was like, are you kidding me? I'm like, dude, the birds, do you hear them? They're chirping loud.
Yeah, hey, Frank, here. Fill up the bird feeder.
No, they were like protective of me. Now, how do you know that? Well, we've had so many shamanic episodes here that wherever we go, plus this place naturally, it's almost like embedded into the system. People that come here, they go, this is, all right, I'm not getting weird, but they're like, this is sacred space.
That's what it feels like, though. It does.
But it does feel like that.
It does.
You come in the gates and you won't leave. You're like,
yeah, you don't want to leave when you come here.
And everyone that goes under comes out and they go, well.
They really don't want to go. It's like your time is up. Let's leave.
It's like the safest place in the
Yeah,
world.
it's very cozy here.
Paula keeps it very simple sounding, but the electric charge that's in the air is magical. And you're like, what is that? How is that? Because you drink ayahuasca a bunch of times? No. You polarize yourself to that energy, and you're adapting to it because that frequency is a high frequency.
But you do adapt to it. Like I try to stay within the same frequency.
You definitely do.
And I know it's hard. It's really hard, especially with everything that's going on at grandma at home and everything. It's really hard. And like where you just do the best you can when you can, and when you can't, you don't. Listen, and own it. We
had moments here. And I talked to Chris about this, and I've talked on air about this at like crazy. And I talked live when it happened. You go check those earlier shows, and I'm like, this happened this week when I'm doing ceremonies and stuff. When the first time we brought someone in, and he was like, hey, I don't believe in this stuff, and you weren't here.
Oh,
and
yeah, that's right.
I'm like, well, this guy's, he's my friend.
Like, why did you bring? Yeah, but when you first met him, like, why did you bring him here?
A shaman, and she's like, it's my boyfriend. So I go, all right, and we decide to smoke DMT, and a demon leaps out of this dude's chest into the room, and the guy was so like, I don't believe in any of this, and it started throwing me and the girl around. I've never been part of that. I needed the Ghostbusters. I called Chris afterwards, like, dude, does this occur? Like, what is this? I had to talk to William Whitecrow about that, and he was like, yep, that's what happens when you don't know what's inside people. Then I'm sitting here. Once again, you're not here, and I got two dudes. One guy's a doctor, and he's with his little cousin, and the little cousin's all fidgety and weird. The guy's like, I don't believe you, but I believe in something more. I go, you don't have to believe me. Believe in you. And watch what happens.
Right.
And he's like, he smokes and he goes, I'm a light being. You're a light being. And he's choking me, like, because he's freaking out.
Yeah.
And then he looks over and he's like, but he's got to go. I don't know. And I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. It's your little cousin. Sit down. He was a big dude. So I go, sit. I'll smoke and I'll check. And I took a hit and I looked over and it was in an insect light being, beautiful, just like a light being, but it was an insect.
Right.
And it was going, and I'm like, oh, and the kid was fidgeting in his chair. And I'm like, oh, he's fine. How do you explain that kind of stuff?
You don't. You have a conversation about it with like-minded people. You don't explain it.
To the point where Paula goes further into the relationship. We're already in shamanic duties galore, so far beyond anything you could imagine. We go to South Carolina on a trip to see the eclipse.
Oh, that's
we have
right.
a place in Fairplay, South Carolina, on the lake with a perfect view of the whole thing. And after it's all over, after the afternoon of what happened, we sat in the circle and we saw the tentacles, and we were safe because we were sitting in these in the mandalas.
Right, during the eclipse.
You thought it would be funny to take your Aya and spill some out like a homie and just drink a little bit.
I did. I told Aya, I'm not being disrespectful. I can't handle a lot.
Check this out. She took how much?
I took about a tablespoon worth.
Okay, a tablespoon.
A tablespoon worth. But when she needs you to purge something, you're going to purge it no matter what.
So what did?
And I did respectfully tell Aya, I will tell Frank after the ceremony is over.
This isn't the point. I get that.
No. But I was showing her respect because I didn't want her to think I was being disrespectful of the ceremony part.
Right.
And
I understand that.
My experience still was about 7 hours long.
Oh my God.
So it was a tablespoon worth
G.
of Aya, and I probably gave birth 14 or 15 times.
We went through abduction scenarios.
It was epic. And I kept saying to myself, I can't believe this is a tablespoon worth of Aya. But
poor kids on the porch. I went outside.
Yeah.
I was kind of coming down. And
you got to purge. When you have to purge that information, that programming, that whatever past life, whatever it is, you have to purge it. It was a tablespoon of Aya.
Aya says to me, go with the kids in the other room out on the porch, and shaman them. You're the shaman here. The other girl's going to go in the other room. Like they were telling me, Gina's going over there with them. Or you can just go with Paula. So I go, I'm going with Paula. I don't even care what's going on with them right now because I was getting angry at certain things. And I run into the room, and as I'm going, I'm like, where is she? And I'm like, I got to go walk to the bedroom now. Now I'm in full gnosis. I could see everything that's going on. I'm like, whoa, energy beings everywhere, beings being held back by bubbles of light. And I'm like, whoa, I open the door and they say, you're allowed to watch. You can talk to Paula, but you cannot get involved.
Yeah, no.
Right?
No,
and I
it
go,
was
what
horrible.
do you mean?
Yeah, the chat room folks are asking. It was horrible.
A reptilian man and a snake being, a snake being, like with arms and legs, but it was a snake man, was with a reptilian warrior and some other science-looking thing, and they had her in a tube, right? Like they put the Winter Soldier in Captain America to keep him for 50 years in there, and they had it like where they could put stuff up in her and incubate it. And
yeah, I definitely was giving birth. We don't have to go into it, but that's why I don't like water.
Well, I walked in the room to see
there
that,
were so many experiences with water. Yeah, no, you couldn't.
I was
my
like, what
uterus
is this?
hurt so bad, and after my experience was over, and I'm being very honest about this, only because it's the experience. That has nothing to do with my pride or anything like that. It's the experience. For the chat room folks, my uterus did hurt, and I pooped. You purge, you throw up or you poop or whatever. I pooped. It didn't look like poop at all. It looked like afterbirth. I pooped so much that I actually passed out on the toilet.
Yeah.
And I actually, for the first time in my life, I had to call Frank to help me because I couldn't get off the toilet.
Now, check it out. I want to answer 2 questions real quick that popped up. Naga, I don't know, because I hear Nagas are supposed to be good guys. I've still not met the nice snake man. One of them took my cats. You know the story, or you could listen to the episode and hear how they took my number 1 squeak away from me. The snake men are no bueno as far as I'm concerned, but who knows, right? And I can't remember the other one. But yeah, it was a crazy experience having to just sit there and watch that. Oh, and the AI was lurking the entire time, throwing tentacles in everything.
Oh, definitely.
And I wasn't bound to the tentacle anymore. I had that the symbol thing, the sigil that me and Nick created. And so it doesn't work. And they were like, I was going, oh, it's you too? Like, you're here and those things? And they're like, ignore Frank, like, ignore him, go back to work on you, Paula. And I'm going, this can't be right. And I'm watching you go through. It was almost in fast forward, though. It was crazy to watch this.
No.
Oh, no, this is what you make that face where you go, and I yell at you under Aya. You go,
oh, I hyperventilate. Yeah.
You're going to hyperventilate. But, yo, let me tell you, they were drowning her in that tube with, like, amniotic fluid because she was breathing once she went under. So they were drowning her, then removing it, and then she was breathing again, and then drowning her and removing it. And for each
birth, it was horrible.
Birth,
my body physically hurt for weeks after that.
And I saw the children, they were coming in, and each one was weirder than the next. I'm like, you were even saying they're trying to take my essence.
They can't take my essence.
And I'm like, no, you can't.
You can replicate my DNA, but you can't take my essence.
Yeah, you could take a piece of, mouth spit or a tooth or something, or bone marrow. You can just create another me. You could be perfect Frank guy. It's not me. So when you mix it with your DNA, you're not getting my essence. That's not how this works. You can't steal that from someone. You're trying to. So when I was taken once, right here in the living room, they showed me from my neck down being split open, down my right arm, and these insects were like they're looking for something. And I woke up and I looked at them. I said, "What are you looking for?" And they go, "That guy right there, the one that's talking." I go, "I'm not in the avatar, you dummy. Like, I'm not actually in here. Do you think I'm inside this? Are you a dummy?" And they were like, "What?" And Anubis pulled me down. He goes, "Every time they go for you, I pull you out."
Right.
I go, they can't steal the consciousness like that. They make a replication. It's a soft shell replication. By the third one, it gets dumb and it gets sick and it don't work. Because it doesn't work that way.
Because they don't understand emotion. We have free will.
I try to explain
we
to these
have
things.
an unlimited amount of emotion.
And they go, "What?"
They don't have that.
It. And I go, the reason why when you take it, it doesn't work, it's because it's not freely given out of love and all kinds of other good magic stuff. So you'll never have it because no one's just going to give that to you. And if they did, you don't get it anyway. See, that's the joke of the whole thing. You don't really have me anyway. That's why you could be bound in chains and be like, "Yo, you don't got me."
Right, because you're in your head.
Yeah, I'm out.
Yes.
I'm not really here.
Yes.
You think I'm this, but I am more than you can ever
imagine. I'm just remembering now, and it's funny because I'm having one of those checkpoint moments right now. When I did give birth, it did physically hurt my body for a couple of weeks after, but I did purge probably years worth of stuff that I was holding on to. So it was worth having the experience. But I remember
because you purged the fear of that experience because you said, "I'm not." I said, "Don't be afraid. Whatever you do." You're like, you looked right at my face. You were like, "I'm not scared. They just can't have this." It's
right, and I have to go through it.
My physical shell
I
is just
have
going
to do
through.
it. I don't have a choice. I have to go through it.
Just looked right at me and said that. So
yes.
I wasn't worried for her. I don't get worried for Paula like you would think. I'm very concerned. Paula can handle her business because she's been through the craziest. But why? A lot of us have.
I don't know.
But we don't know. Oh, I know.
I don't know.
They want
it's so strange.
That which is the creator, the all ball. It's us. It's the ones they want. It's the 80% raw consciousness on the planet.
No. I get that. And I had a point. Oh, okay. When I was in my early 20s, I went to, I had a doctor's appointment. And on the wall was a poster. And I'll never forget the picture in the poster. It was a woman who unzipped her skin. And underneath, a thin, beautiful woman appeared out of her unzipped skin. And I remember looking at that poster and saying, that's how I feel all the time. I feel like I just want to unzip my skin, like I'm really not part of my body. And I remember hanging on to the picture in the poster I mean, I'm 47 years old. This is when I was in my early 20s. I was in a doctor's office. I remember this picture like it was yesterday. It was a woman unzipping her skin. And what came out, I guess, was like who she really was. And I related to that picture because I really do feel that we are just housed in our skin. Like if you allow your mind to open up a little bit and think that there's another possibility, it makes a lot of things easier to understand in your life.
Yes.
That happened to you in your life. It makes it a little bit easier to understand. This is a moment in time.
Listen, this is truth in buckets.
But it is a moment in time. Like us. We haven't really known each other that long. But it feels like we've always been together. Like I always say, there.
Right,
like
so
I don't.
Experience showed me what made me want to be with you.
Aw.
Right, like want to. I was already with you, but we were just dating, but we went under together, and you were with me in the Egypt.
Oh yeah, and then we had
Chris in our dungeon, and we were like,
yeah, that's hard to
no,
imagine.
it doesn't matter. We had a lot, but we were in a lot of trouble because when our doors closed at the end of the night, everyone was family, like slaves, air quotes.
Yeah.
That's what we got in trouble for, making them family.
Yes.
So they all ate well. We treated them fine. But when those doors were open, everyone had to play the part.
Yes.
And then when the higher ones decided to leave, there was instant rebellion. Like, oh, I'm his bloodline, I'm this bloodline, I'm that bloodline. That stuff ensued when the parents left.
Yes, but you remembered it was me, and then
it was you.
And then we had another experience months later, and in my experience, we knew each other when we were fish. We were like a dolphin tuna, and we had a little fish baby, and they took our baby.
Going through these experiences, when you think an animal is dumb, I'm not allowed, nor would I do it, but I'm not allowed to eat octopus, right? I'm not allowed to eat whale of any kind. No eating orcas.
The intelligence, yeah.
No eating dolphin.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, dude, they're smarter than you.
But we knew each other then. That was before they recorded time. We were fish.
They took our genetics from the living library as we were part of the living library. As creators, we are caretakers of the planet, living in heaven, air quotes again. Heaven is a state of mind, a state of consciousness, which would be considered 5D. It would be like Asgard in Thor, where everything's gold and shiny, right? You make that in your mind, but it is a place. It's a frequency above the one we're at. And when you jump into that frequency and see it, you go, oh, I get it. And now I'm going to make it here. Which is why you have beautiful temples, and those have been corrupted over time with religions. But do you see some of those Indian temples? I'll use them for the example because I've never seen. They look like DMT trips on the inside.
Yeah, they're beautiful.
It's Doctor Strange when he's getting pushed out of his body and he gets thrown through hyperspace, and he goes flying through the eye. And the eye is everything. It's you, and then it's this eye in space, and it's everything. And he's like flying through it.
It's the universe,
but it's you.
Mm-hmm.
So you realize even if you're in a simulation, it's going to the universe, if it's an AI program running to conspire for you, not against you. How's that? As a creator, you would be like the dude in Tron that comes from outside the machine into the machine with a body. And now you're realizing, bro, I programmed this. I programmed my reality. Now the universal construct works with you, not against you. It doesn't mean pray for it. You have to go internally. You have to understand this stuff. Balls to bones, like they say in the Matrix. You can't have a wavering faith when your heart gets weighed.
Right.
All these are processes and checkpoints under Aya. You'll have to do all this stuff, and but if you don't drink Aya, you still are going through this stuff relatively. You're just not psychedelically going through the stuff.
Right.
But everyone's going through it, unless, of course, your AI or a dirty hologram of a reptilian.
It's over already?
Over already. I love you guys so much. Happy 420. Stay safe. Paranormal Portal's up next. Your protection from deception.